I accidentally ruined my coworker's career because of jealousy, and now, I don't know if coming clean would make things worse. Hey, I'm Megan, 28, and I don't know how to say this without sounding like a terrible person. I didn't mean to screw over my coworker, but now that it's happened, I'm not sure if fixing it would make things better or worse. Here's the story. I work in marketing at a mid-sized company. It's a pretty competitive environment, lots of pressure to hit deadlines, impress clients, and constantly come up with new ideas. Everyone's nice on the surface, but you can tell there's this underlying tension. Like if you screw up, you're replaceable. Enter Kelly. She joined our team about a year ago, and honestly, she's the kind of person you want to hate, but can't. She's smart, funny, and good at her job. Too good, honestly. She started landing big accounts almost immediately, and it didn't take long for her to become the golden child of the office. Meanwhile, I've been here for 4 years, busting my ass and barely getting a fraction of the recognition. At first, I liked her. She's super outgoing and always made an effort to include everyone, but as time went on I started feeling resentful. It's not like she was doing anything wrong, but every time our boss praised her in meetings it felt like a slap in the face. Like, what am I? Chopped liver? Things came to a head about 3 months ago. We were working on this huge campaign for a major client, and it was one of those make-or-break projects that could define your career. Kelly and I were both on the team, but she was kind of leading the charge. She came up with this big flashy idea that everyone loved. Everyone except me. I didn't think it was bad per se, but it felt risky, like if it flopped, it would flop hard. I voiced my concerns during one of our brainstorming sessions, but no one really listened. Kelly brushed me off with one of her classic, "I hear you, but I think this is the direction we should go." So I kept my mouth shut. Here's where it gets messy. About a week before the big pitch, I was working late in the office, and I noticed Kelly had left her laptop open. I wasn't trying to snoop, I swear. But the screen was right there, and the curiosity got the better of me. She had her email open, and I saw an exchange with one of our designers. The subject line was campaign visuals, and the emails were not great. Basically, the designer was saying he wasn't sure if they could execute Kelly's idea in time, and Kelly was pressuring him to make it work. The whole thing felt rushed and sloppy. I should have just walked away, but instead, I took a screenshot. I don't even know why I did it. It wasn't like I had a plan. But part of me felt vindicated. Like, see? I knew this idea wasn't solid. The next day, during our team meeting, I brought up some concerns about the campaign. I didn't mention the emails directly, but I hinted at the potential issues with execution. Our boss asked Kelly if there was anything she wanted to address, and she just smiled and said, "Nope, everything's on track." That's when I made my move. I forwarded the screenshot anonymously to our boss. I didn't add any explanation, just let the email speak for itself. The fallout was intense. Our boss called Kelly into a private meeting, and when she came out, her face was pale. The campaign was scrapped entirely, and Kelly was taken off the project. Word spread around the office pretty quickly. People started whispering that she'd overpromised and underdelivered. A week later, she was asked to resign. Officially, it was framed as a mutual decision, but everyone knew what really happened. Here's the thing. I thought I'd feel relieved, maybe even a little smug, but instead, I just feel gross. Kelly wasn't a bad person. Yeah, she was ambitious, maybe a little cocky, but she didn't deserve to lose her job over one mistake. And the worst part, the project wasn't even that bad. If we'd stuck with it, it probably would have turned out fine. Now, every time I see her empty desk, I feel this sinking pit of guilt in my stomach. She hasn't reached out or said anything to anyone. I think she's too embarrassed. I keep telling myself I did the right thing by raising concerns, but the truth is, I didn't handle it the right way. I could have talked to Kelly directly. I could have been honest about what I saw. Instead, I went behind her back and let her crash and burn. So yeah, that's my confession. I ruined someone's career, and I don't know if I should come clean. Part of me thinks it's too late. What's done is done. But another part wonders if staying silent makes me even worse. What would you do? Tell the truth and risk making things even messier, or keep quiet and try to move on? I honestly don't know if I can live with myself either way. First off, wow. I didn't expect my post to get the kind of attention it did. Honestly, I was terrified to even look at the comments at first. But I read through every single one, even the ones that were hard to stomach. I didn't expect so many of you to be this blunt, but I guess that's what I needed. A lot of people called me out for being jealous and vindictive, and yeah, looking back, it's hard to deny. It wasn't easy seeing it spelled out by strangers, but the truth is, you were right. I let my own insecurities build up over time instead of dealing with them head on, and then I lashed out in the worst possible way. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but I get it now. I wasn't just trying to raise concerns about the campaign. I wanted Kelly to fail. Some of you suggested I come clean to my boss, while others said I should reach out to Kelly directly. I agonized over what to do for a few days, but in the end, I decided I owed Kelly an apology first. My boss could wait. Kelly was the one I'd hurt the most, and if I was serious about making things right, I needed to face her. I spent hours drafting the email. It felt impossible to find the right words. How do you even begin to apologize for something like this? But eventually I just poured it all out. Everything I'd been feeling, everything I'd done, and everything I regretted. I told her I was jealous of her success and that I'd let that jealousy fester until it turned into something ugly. I explained that the anonymous email was me, that I'd acted impulsively and out of spite, and that I knew I had no excuse. I didn't try to defend myself or ask for forgiveness because, frankly, I didn't think I deserved it. I just wanted her to know the truth. Her response came 2 days later. I remember staring at the notification on my phone for a solid 5 minutes before I worked up the nerve to open it. Her email was surprisingly measured. She said she appreciated the apology and that it must have taken a lot for me to admit what I'd done. But she didn't let me off the hook, either. She said she'd been devastated when she lost her job, not just because of the career setback, but because she'd trusted me as a teammate. She admitted that she'd made mistakes, too, and that the campaign wasn't as solid as she'd made it out to be. I was under so much pressure to prove myself, she wrote, and I let my ego get in the way. But she made it clear that what I did wasn't justified. I can forgive you, she said, but I'm not sure I'll ever fully trust you again. That hurt to read, but it was fair. After emailing Kelly, I knew I had to come clean to my boss, too. A lot of you said it was the right thing to do, and honestly, I couldn't keep pretending like nothing had happened. The guilt was eating me alive. I requested a meeting with my boss and laid everything out, the anonymous email, my motivations, all of it. I fully expected to be fired on the spot, but instead, she just sat there, listening quietly. When I finished, she let out this long sigh and said, "I'm not going to sugarcoat it, Megan. This was bad. Really bad." She didn't fire me, but she did put me on probation. She also made it clear that if I pulled anything like this again, I'd be out the door. Fair enough. The aftermath at work has been awkward, to say the least. A few people know what happened, not the full details, but enough to look at me differently. I feel like I'm constantly walking on eggshells, and honestly, I've started wondering if it's even worth staying. Meanwhile, Kelly has completely bounced back. She landed a job at one of our competitors, and, from what I've heard through the grapevine, she's thriving. A mutual coworker told me she's already leading a big account over there, and that the team loves her. Part of me is happy for her, she deserves it. But another part feels like crap for even being a small part of the reason she had to start over. One of the most common comments on my post was about how this whole situation says more about me than it does about Kelly. At first I was defensive. I wanted to believe that what I did was just a one-time lapse in judgment. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized there's truth to that. Why was I so threatened by Kelly in the first place? Why did I let my insecurities spiral to the point where I sabotaged someone else's career? I started seeing a therapist a few weeks ago to unpack all of this, and it's been eye-opening. Turns out I've been carrying a lot of baggage from past experiences, feeling overlooked, undervalued, and like I always have to prove myself. It doesn't excuse what I did, but at least I'm starting to understand why I acted the way I did. One of the biggest takeaways for me has been learning to own my feelings instead of letting them fester. I've started being more honest with my coworkers and myself about when I'm feeling overwhelmed or insecure, It's a work in progress, but I'm trying. If you'd asked me a month ago, I would have told you that coming clean wasn't worth it, that it would only make things worse. But now, I'm glad I did. It hasn't been easy, and there's still a part of me that cringes every time I think about how I handled everything. But at least I'm not carrying the weight of that secret anymore. To everyone who commented on my original post, thank you. Whether you were blunt, supportive, or just shared your honest opinion, it helped me see things clearly for the first time. I've got a long way to go, but I'm working on becoming the kind of person who doesn't let jealousy get the best of them. And to Kelly, if you ever read this, I hope you know how much I respect you and your talent. You didn't deserve what I did, and I'll be working to make sure I never hurt anyone like that again. Here's to trying to be better.